Thank you so much for watching my interviews here at the Louisiana State Capitol. With me in this interview in the Louisiana Capitol Rotunda here in Baton Rouge is State Representative Adrian Fisher.
How you doing?
Representative, thank you so much for being on there. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, you're what, 16? You said?
Yes, so District 16, that's East Ouachita Parish and also Morehouse Parish.
What parish?
East Ouachita Parish.
Okay.
And Morehouse Parish. Well, it's Ouachita Parish, but I'm in the eastern part of Ouachita Parish.
It's one of those parishes we don't hear about that much.
Yeah, but you should.
But we should. Got some good stuff to see up there.
Well, of course, one of our governors, James D. Noe, is from Monroe. And he on KTV, well, KNOE, Channel 8 Monroe. You got Doug Dynasty Monroe. Delta Airlines was founded in Monroe.
Oh, so this is all in Monroe.
All in Monroe.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
All in
All right.
Monroe, yeah.
Well, you named parishes. We got a whole bunch of parishes, and some of them you don't hear about that much.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, North Louisiana sometimes getting left out. Anything above I-10 seems to be, sort of get left behind sometimes.
But that's why you out there, not only representing the people in your district, but out there promoting your parish and your area
for sure.
to get out there.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some legislation that you've got to be presented here to represent the people in your district and help Louisiana. You've got HB 67. It's hired. Well, you got some stuff already sent to the governor. You're already on the way here on some stuff here. You've got HB 67 authorizes the University of Louisiana system to establish tuition and fees for a doctor of physical therapy.
Yeah, of course. That's a local bill that would have statewide impact. Physical therapy is one of the areas that need more students. And ULM is actually in my district. Actually graduated from ULM in graduate school, but it's a great program that's needed. They have a great, they have great staff. They have great professors, and it's filling a need that's already there. And they're just stepping in as a university to sort of fill that need to to get students to come out and be contributing in that area.
Does there need to be legislation, obviously, to create a doctorate program?
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is there's not a doctorate program. You could bring more students into the university if you have one.
Yes, and it's by statute that the legislature have to approve the university system, to set fees for those kind of programs.
I guess because it involves money.
Yes, of course.
All right, that's what it is.
It
All
involves
right.
money for sure.
You got HB 137 provides relative to the Secretary of the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board.
Yes, that's another local bill back home. There's a shortage of workers, particularly after COVID. We had a shortage of qualified workers, and that local municipal fire department or fire department, they wanted to find a good qualified person, and by statute they can only pay so much money, and so this allows them to pay above the norm for their position.
I got you. So you say it's a local bill, but I got to tell you, it's not only important for your district, but I think it's important for Louisiana that when we learn about our representatives talk about their locals like that, shines a light on other people in other parts of the state might need the same type of local bill.
Yes, well, and actually they do, because you see them all the time. We come up saying this bill's been properly authorized, properly advertised. Those are all local bills because we all have things that go on in our districts, that need legislative approval.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for looking out for them. HB 356 provides relative to compensation for Ouachita Parish Hospital Service District Commission members.
Yes, that's another local bill, and I'm relatively new in the in this process. Anything that I find that our locals need, that's going to be a priority for me. And again, this is by statute. They need authorization in order to even approve the compensation for their board members. And so, I was willing to give one of my bills to make sure they get what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, once again, though, taking care of your locals is something that I wish the representatives would focus on more. I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
But when you have this broad, overreaching stuff, these big bills all over the place.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the locals get forgotten. Is the point I'm trying to make. And it sounds like you're focusing on that.
Well, they say charity starts at home, so we got to make sure that we take care of home first.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good. That's a very good comment. 591 provides relative to fee exemptions for certain solar power generation facilities.
Yeah. Now, that was a bill, not really controversial because some people have a different take on solar power, but it was buttoned up to my district, I think up in West Cal Parish. And, that bill, the companies who had power pack plans already in place, and then after they had their agreement in place, there were some fees that were later added to, to the deal. So we just wanted those few companies that had agreements already in place that didn't, didn't.
They could be grandfathered in
Yeah,
other words.
they can be grandfathered in because they didn't, they didn't account for those fees being added after the fact. So
Exactly.
So that's all I wanted to just get those. I think it's about 4 or 5 companies, get them an exemption because those fees wasn't known at the beginning of the process for them.
And had they put, tagged those fees onto them,
They could
could be the
account for it.
difference of a company staying in business or going out of business.
Yeah.
And this kind of legislation kind of connected some dots to help keep some people in business.
Yes. Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
good eye. 201 creates a subcommittee to study the effectiveness of sickle cell health care treatment practices in the state.
Now, out of all the bills that I ran, because I think we had 5 bills, 5 non-fiscal bills, but this one that sort of did it in my heart because it deals with sickle cell anemia patients, and a lot of times people with sickle cell, when they're children, they get really good care, but as they transition to adulthood, and they go in to a hospital for an episode, for a crisis, particularly when you're adults, I've gotten feedback that when they go to those different places, particularly if they're not, not a known patient there, they tend to think that they're, are just shopping for drugs, for pain medicine, because sickle cell leaves you in excruciating pain, and so they can have an episode, twice a month, 6 times, out of a quarter, and maybe 10 times out of a year. And so you have an adult you see going to the hospital to get medication,
Right.
and then if it's not known to the local area, they think this person is just just sort of shopping for medicine, but really they're not. They're in real pain.
Right.
Sickle cell is a very serious, painful disease, and for adults, and it's not known. A lot of them feel mistreated, and so we want to get a committee to make sure that they're being treated properly, as a Louisiana citizen.
So this legislation, all it does is creates a committee.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that committee actually help these people who are going to hospitals that might be in a different area when they're suffering?
All right, so it'll be a committee made up of the chairman of health and welfare, and then we'll name other members here in the legislature. And we'll bring in individuals who actually have sickle cell, and then give their story, about how they're being treated when they go to a hospital in a rural area or here in Baton Rouge. If they're not known, as a regular patient, a lot of times, they'll go there for treatment and they're not being seen. They'll turn them away.
Well, my only amendment idea for that bill would be a positive one. Of course, it's already passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would be that, and maybe in the future, maybe not an amendment, but maybe for the committee to discuss, is maybe a way for a patient to have, for a sickle cell patient to be given a card.
Have a database?
A database, so where that way, when if they go to another state or another place, that somebody can look up, or they have that card that says they are a sickle cell patient.
Well, that's a good idea. It's such a good idea that it was already enacted, but it hasn't actually taken actual shape yet. Actually, I think Phelps or Dustin Miller may have already run the bill last year.
Okay.
And so they just haven't actually started implementing it yet. But that's going to be really helpful because then that way there'll be a database of all sickle cell patients. So when they go to a hospital in New Orleans or a hospital in Tallulah or Monroe, they'll know this is an actual,
So this bill was already ran last year?
Well, not my bill, but the bill for the database implementation.
So they had the database last year for this, and you're doing a committee to help implement the database and help.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a committee to help implement to make sure that our sickle cell adults are being treated properly.
Okay.
Because as of right now, they're not being, all of them are not being treated fairly when they go to a hospital if they're not known, because the doctor or nurse, may think this is a person that's just shopping for meds and not actually getting treatment.
I got you. I would never have known that was a problem.
It's a big problem.
But once again, when our representatives are doing their job and they're listening to the people and they're doing this type of thing, it makes a lot of sense.
And actually, that's really one of our main jobs, to listen to our communities.
Exactly.
Listen to our communities, see what they're saying, see what they're experiencing, and then we come here to try to address those concerns and issues.
So, do you have any comments on the budget bill, the budget cap that was voted on today?
Well, I think at different times, that there's different action that's needed, and I think for this year, where we are, the climate we're in, I think a lot was riding on, increasing the limit because a lot of hospitals depend on, those funds, food bank, teacher pay raises. So I think at this time it's really needed, and I'm happy to vote for it.
Okay. I tell you, like I said, I've heard all the sides and all the arguments, and while the fiscally conservative side of me says I wish it would not have gotten busted, so to speak,
Yeah.
but when I talk to people like you, I talk to heads of departments that have been here today that are looking out for their interests, and I talk to other representatives, you hear all the other reasons why either they voted to raise the cap or why it's needed, and so.
Yeah.
I'll sit off to the side without an opinion right now on it.
Well, since you asked me to say this, if we don't raise the cap and we got teacher pay raises that's tied to it, how does the teacher feel, if there's money there and they can't get, a much needed pay raise?
Exactly.
Hospitals that are underfunded, if they don't raise the cap, how they're going to, continue to operate and then service, our individuals here in the state of Louisiana. So, naturally, I am fiscal conservative, but when there's a need, we got to address the need when we have it.
And it sounds to me like where they're gonna take it from here is in a sensible way where they're gonna pay off some debt. They're
Yes.
they're gonna be able to raise some, like you said,
Yeah.
you give some raises to people, and they're gonna do some projects, and they're gonna some capital projects, and on one-time expenses and not recurring expenses.
One-time expenses, yes, sir.
Okay,
That's
so it sounds to me like it could be. I don't want to, one way or the other, but I want to give a non-biased approach so the people can decide after they research it.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you, you're a new legislator.
Yes, sir, I am. This is my first fiscal year.
So your picture on the legislative site is current, because how long have you been a legislator?
This is on my second session.
Because you're under a special election, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
your picture is current, but I got to tell you, when I look through the legislative site, I see pictures of people on the site that look like that might have been like 12 years ago, or maybe before term limits even.
Yeah.
They look a lot different than they do now. Would you support legislation that would make the legislators update their pictures on the legislative site to the current day?
Well, I think that'd be helpful. Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. I do. And also, let me say this, because I am new, and I have maybe a new perspective. And then we have term limits. You didn't ask me that question, but since we're talking about it, I will sort of mention it. I think that term limits should be increased, because when you really start to, there's a lot to learn here, in the Capitol. It's there's so much information, so much that we need to know. And once you really start getting it, and I don't have it at all yet. I'm still learning. I'm still listening.
Exactly.
But I think 3 terms is really not enough, because once you get the information, then you got to term out, and then you got new people coming in. They have to relearn the process over and over again. Sometimes that institutional knowledge is very helpful. To make sure that things are maintained.
I see.
So it may not come up. It's not coming up this session. It may not come up next session. But I think we need to go back and revisit that.
So tell me now, because this is your second year, whose term did you take in?
I took Fred Jones' spot. He's a judge now, and so when he got his judgeship, I ran for his seat.
You got in for a special election.
Yeah.
But now, are you under the 2 years? So can you serve
3 full terms.
You could serve 3 more terms after this?
Yes, so I can serve my a full 12 years. So really, in my case, I can do 14 years.
Okay. Because you got in before he was passed, or after he was passed
Yes,
his
sir.
second year.
Yes, sir. I got right in the middle of it. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So because I talked to some other people that got in like afterwards or before,
and they only got two
they
terms,
have 2 terms after this.
Yes, sir.
Adrian Fisher, State
sir.
Representative Louisiana, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
I appreciate your time, and
Yes, sir.
and everybody, if you're in his district, maybe you need to not only watch or share the video with other people, but also keep an eye on some things he's doing, because being a freshman representative,
Yes,
you
sir.
have a lot of good things that come, sounds like.
Yeah. And one thing I would say, about all voters, hold your elected officials accountable. See how we vote, see what we're doing, call us, because again, we answer to the people in our district, and we should be.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Everybody else, thank you so much, and have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you.